Hey everybody, and welcome back to another Capstone research video. I'm Mr. Jason Profit at Hunters Lane High School, doing this video for all Metro Nashville Public School students, particularly those working on the Senior Capstone paper. Hopefully by now you've seen the previous videos, why you should research like a college student, how to research like a college student using Tennessee Electronic Library. You may have seen our Using Limitless Library videos to help you find whole books. However, I kind of wanted to talk about sort of another option for research, and this has sometimes helped a lot of my kids, particularly if you have a difficult topic that's hard to find. And I also kind of want to talk about how to use Wikipedia well in a research search. And that's by using source mining. Teachers don't always like me to say this, but there is a way to use Wikipedia well during research, and that's called source mining. Here I have my source hunt template. You may not have countered this yet in the videos. You may be coming back to this later after seeing the source hunt template. But it's sort of the fifth option I put down here to source mine Wikipedia articles. In fact, today I'm going to show you how to source mine just about anything that's well researched and referred. So let's take a look at a Wikipedia article. So right now, sort of a popular topic, I've seen a lot more in the news with the unfortunate recent death of John Lewis, has been about the Nashville sit-ins. If you don't know about it, in the height of the civil rights movement, um, there was once lunch counter protests to desegregate lunch counters in Nashville. If you ever go to the downtown public library, there's quite a bit about it. And there's a really nice Wikipedia article on it. But this leads us to the similar problem if we wanted to use something like this on a capstone paper that Wikipedia stuff has. It's that it can be put together by lots of different people. You don't know exactly if a particular quote is right. You don't know if both sides of things on some issues are being told well. Some people may be highlighted more to the detriment of others. So there's just a lot of uncertainty of it, but just because there's so many authors and people working on it. And that's why for like good professional research, you can't use Wikipedia. If you want to look up something quick, you want a nice general read on something, Wikipedia is fine. But if you really want to do a good piece of research, it's honestly not good enough. So usually a teacher wouldn't be letting you use this, well, in a school assignment. However, there is a way to use Wikipedia correctly. Wikipedia is an encyclopedia, and at the bottom of Wikipedia is this: references, the lists of sources they've used at different places. Many of these are connected to sources, academic journals, and books. And so if you find something from Wikipedia that you want to talk about, you can look at this. So, for example, here they have historical point, and it points to source one. I just click on one, and it takes me to the bottom of the Wikipedia page, and it tells me that it comes from an article from the magazine called Tennessee Historical Quarterly by Linda Wynn. That's something I could search for. I could put that in Google Books, which we talked about in the Limitless Library video. You could try searching it for Tell. Not everything in the world is in Tennessee Electronic Library, but they have a lot of Tennessee stuff. You'll notice some of these even have direct links to other things. You could try clicking on these and see if they still take you to a live article. You could try sticking it in Google Books if you don't. I was hearing them talk about John Lewis on the radio the other day, and I heard a lot of talk about this book, David Halberstam's The Children, which was highly regarded as a tale of people who were there. And this is the book itself. It gives me the whole bibliography here. David Halberstam, The Children. So this is an entire book and that talks into great detail about the Nashville lunch counter sit-ins. And if I wanted to use something, I can't use the Wikipedia article, but I could use perhaps the good resources that the Wikipedia article is based on. But this is just a link. How do I get this book? Because if I click you right there, I'm going to tell you, it just takes me to a Wikipedia article about the book. And that doesn't really help me a lot. It does, however, give me a little more detail. However, I do have Google Books, and I can search for things. So I put the author and the children name in books, and voila, it comes up in Google Books. Now, you always can't see everything in Google Books, but wouldn't you just know that most of this book, at least the first two chapters and some of the end, are visible in in this selection on Google Books. And suddenly, using Wikipedia source mining, I have found an entire detailed book with lots of eyewitnesses about the Nashville lunch counter sit-ins. And that is a great way to use Wikipedia. Find the high quality sources that have been used to make the possibly suspect article, but you're pulling the good stuff out of it. And then you're searching for things and finding things. This also works in Tennessee Electronic Library. I'm going to give you a detail. You can also source mine inside of Tennessee Electronic Library articles. So here, for example, I've pulled up a March 2020 article on the refugee crisis between the border of Lebanon and Syria. It's a rough situation. There are several ways to source mine in Tennessee Electronic Library articles. And that's really the benefit of source mining. You take one really good source, and instead of doing a whole nother search to find something like it, you use that one article to help you locate other good sources. There's a few things you could do. First of all, you could click on the author's names in Tennessee Electronic Library. If they've written one thing about it, they may have written more. Now, you got to be careful. You don't want everything to come from just 1 to 2 authors, but that'd be a good way to kind of source mine out to things and find other sources. I will tell a very quick story from my capstone time at Hunter's Lane. The very first year of capstone, I had a really cool student. His name was Chauvin. He wanted to do an article on the football war, which is a war that broke out after a soccer match between Honduras and El Salvador. It wasn't actually about the soccer match, but people like to say that. It was a really cool topic. We didn't have some of the resources we have now. All we could do was find one article on it. And I don't like to give up or tell kids they can't do things because we can't find the sources. I always believe we want to find the sources, but this was hard. And we couldn't find Chauvin's article about the football war. And I tried, our librarian tried lots of different searches, but we did find this one really good academic article. So what did we do? We source mined that one article. We found every book that had been cited in it. We found other people mentioned by that same authors. Because when we were just searching for Honduras, El Salvador, football, and war, even if we put them together, we were just bringing up lots of stuff that was about one country, not the other country. It might have been about soccer, it might have been about war. We just weren't getting what we wanted. But instead, we source mined that one thing. So this is a long research paper right here. Again, we're back to the Lebanese-Syrian crisis. Remember, it gives us the abstract, the summary, but what if we really liked this? What if we wanted this data? What if we wanted to see more? Well, we could source mine it. Well, at the bottom of TEL articles, there are references, and some of them have hyperlinks and some of them don't, but you see a lot of them have web pages. They might have even more information. So I'm going to pick this one off the UN Committee for Human Rights, Syrian refugee response. I'm just going to highlight that, and we're going to see if it's still alive. If it's not, you try something else. And if it is, cool. Come on, Google, you can do it. Here we go. Hey, look at this. We got a lot of stuff. It's giving me total numbers of refugees, households they're from, certain locations. I'm suddenly finding a lot more in-depth information, even with links to other things related to it, even with links to more articles beyond that. Look, that's how source mining. You take one link, you take it in the other link, then it turns into a bunch more links about the same topic. That's how you can quickly, with source mining, go from one source to 7, 8, 9 sources. You want to make sure you're not getting everything from the same place. You don't want to be biased. But again, this is a great way sometimes to do research, to use Wikipedia. So take good research papers and use their sources to find more papers. And you could sort of get the whole thoughts of ideas. And that could sometimes help a lot. And that might be a lot better than just taking, again, your search terms and just going to the next list and something and tell. Why go back to advanced search a bunch when you can just look at some stuff that other people have thought was good at sometimes. So you get good data like this. It tells you how to cite it. You can see where all these stats come from. Look at all this. If you really want to use this topic, you have tons of stuff you can search for. Even if a couple of them are dead, you can stick that in Google Books. It's good stuff. So again, consider source mining. Consider it for finding some of your stuff. Remember, if you're using Wikipedia, don't use the article itself. Teachers aren't going to take that. But some of this stuff might be good. Get your teachers to help you. Try some source mining. It might make your life a lot easier. Once again, Senior Capstone, Jason Profit, Hunters Lane High School. Good luck on your research. Try some source hunting.